So what we'd like to accomplish with this panel discussion is to convince at least one of the would-be entrepreneurs in here to actually take that first step and start a company. With that in mind, I'd like each of the panelists to highlight within their company and where their company is within the food and agricultural food chain, value chain, what type of innovation you see making a big impact. Keith, want to start out?
Well, to me, I think one of the biggest innovations is going to be identifying and producing these functional ingredients that can be incorporated into food products cost effectively. And just to give you one example, we're currently working with a technology called human milk oligosaccharides. Obviously the source, human milk, but it's also found in cow's milk. Obviously you're not going to be able to isolate from human milk enough quantities to go commercial. The next shot was to try to isolate it from cow's milk. Also, there aren't enough cows on the planet to get enough human milk oligosaccharides, so to speak, to make it even theoretically possible to put this in infant formula. So what are we doing? We're coming up with alternate ways to try to make the material. The ingredient has profound effects on babies. We have clinical data that shows that it has a dramatic effect on improving immune function, but the trick is trying to get enough material cost effectively to get it into a brand like Similac. And what we are doing is we're working with some small startups who are using fermentation technology to try to develop this particular ingredient. And that has not been without challenges. In fact, it's been substantial challenges for us. It's not something we've typically done. But in order to try to compete in these spaces of functional foods, it's things that we're going to need to do. So really, I think that's where there's going to be some ideal opportunities, coming up with ways to cost effectively make these functional technologies so they can be incorporated into large major brands from big companies like Abbott.
It's hard to say. There's so many opportunities for innovation in our field. With Aptimmune, we're working diligently on mucosal vaccines, which is a very different approach to vaccine that we do not utilize today. The way we vaccinate animals today is it's akin to having a fortress or a castle and stationing your troops or garrison right inside the castle walls and leaving the main entrance wide open. And with mucosal immunity, we're able to put the castle gate up and station the troops on the outside before they breach the walls. Vaccines are going to be big. Probiotics, that's similar in some ways to some of the things you're developing, are things that we're seeing. Enzymes, there's a lot of nutritional space in animal health that's moving forward. And in fact, there are a lot of products that are doing quite well in the market already.
Innovation opportunities at Barilla. We talked already about the data management and throughout supply chain and agriculture. Other innovation type items that we're looking at, we looked at 3D printing. I think that's something that's in food is very topical right now. And the door is really wide open. We also looked at functional foods, which is very difficult in the United States, but we're a global company, so we actually have a energy pasta in Mexico, where it enhances the thought process and having ingredients like that. So that in the food industry, the door is wide open to what your expertise is and how you can really affect the customer. And it really comes down to what the consumer can achieve, and really any innovation that will make the food experience closer to the customer. We've also worked on baking ovens or convention ovens where we're able to bring the experience of Italian-style entries directly or restaurant-style foods into the home. So a lot of that towards the consumer and how to bring the Italian experience through technology and innovation closer to the consumer.
Yeah, one of the things about innovation, of course, our entire facility is about food innovation. We're a food innovation center. And one of the things that we are developing right now that's going to be announced very shortly is a collaboration between ourselves and Archer Daniel Millen with a food innovation challenge going to go out across the country. And we're excited about the opportunity to have entrepreneurs or college students or college professors come up with an idea, present it to us, and we'll whittle that down to a dozen or so top contenders and have sometime by the end of the summer, first part of fall, we'll have a cook-off, if you want, at our facility and help that person launch the grand prize winner, at least launch their products into the national mainstream of retail. Food innovation is exactly what we're about. National Food Work Center is a food innovation center, so we're looking at it from the highest part of the spectrum that you've talked about here today to the lowest part of what happens when that young person comes in with an idea for food, and that's what we're doing.
Thanks. So as our entrepreneurs in the audience think about taking a technology to market, from your perspectives, which areas are best suited for entrepreneurial companies to address, and what are those areas that you're going to want as a large company to do internally? Keith or Jeffrey?
So I guess for entrepreneurs, the example of data, we as food processors, we know how to make food, so we're pretty confident on our capabilities for innovation in food and how to produce food, functional foods. We have partners in that. But when we talk about data mining, information systems through the supply chain, agricultural technology, that's not in our forefront. So any case study that's presented to us, we're looking at very deeply. And there's a lot of leadership accountable for this traceability and movement into technology, and utilizing the technology and the information that we have to further serve our customers. So I think any area in technology is up for games for Barilla or any food industry.
I think one comment I want to make is, at least in our situation, one of the key areas that needs to be considered is stability. As we transition into a global marketplace, a lot of the distribution is not at the level that we see in the States. So you're going to be dealing with temperature changes and moisture changes that can potentially be an issue with the quality of the foods that you're providing. And one comment was made up here relative to probiotics. Probiotics are a fantastic functional food. One of the things that we've struggled with, however, with probiotics, there's a lot of interest in probiotics in Asia. But if you're dealing with a warehouse that doesn't have air conditioning and you put your powdered product in that warehouse, what we call zone 4 or whatever with a higher temperature, the quality of your product is going to diminish rapidly. And the shelf life of your product is going to be very, very poor. So again, much work needs to be done in these particular areas where we can actually stabilize the technologies in our products to get a shelf life that is required to get the distribution necessary to get the products where they need to be. So a little bit more food science than nutrition science, but absolutely a necessity if we're going to be successful in getting these products where they need to be.
Aaron, you're one of the entrepreneurs on the panel. Can you give us a little bit of an understanding of your background, how you got into entrepreneurism, as maybe a guiding path for some of those folks in the audience that are wondering whether they have what it takes to be an entrepreneur or not?
Yeah, sure. So my story is a little different than a lot in agriculture, in that I was a city kid, born and raised in Riverside, California. So there wasn't food animal production going on anywhere near where I lived. But at an early age, I realized that I did have an interest in food animal production. And so from there, I pursued that path. I've been fortunate all along the way. I've had multiple and very, very good mentors that have guided me through the path and have given me good advice, who provided encouragement, as I said earlier, and have really opened doors. And so I would say, part of being an entrepreneur is just doing it. You just got to take the step. The other is positioning yourself for opportunity, and when that opportunity comes, and if it's the right opportunity, you just need to take it. And sometimes that's hard, and sometimes you're not sure if it's the right thing to do, and you have to take that step of faith and move forward.
And Tony, in a related question, what advice would you have for would-be entrepreneurs to, as they are thinking, I don't know if what to do next, who is out there to help me, what resources are there? How would you answer that question?
I think the toughest part for entrepreneurs from any field is to overcome the fear of failure. That's probably the ability to realize that just falling off a horse isn't a problem. The problem is not getting back up and getting back on, going forward. I saw a post recently that I fell in love. I copied it. It says, I never lose. Either I win or I learn. And that's the process I think that we have to, that confidence of saying, hey, we're going to go forward and do this. No matter how many times we fail, we're going to go back at it again. I think that's area of confidence. In terms of resources, we're blessed right here, right smack in the middle of some of the greatest minds of food and agriculture in the world, right here in Illinois. And Lee and Tyler have been bringing that up over and over around the state. I think we're blessed to be near these resources. And certainly we have been taking advantage of that, not only just in Decatur and Central Illinois and throughout the Midwest. So we've got a lot of opportunity here, and that ability to overcome failures, I think, is one of the key points.
Jeffrey and Keith, let's say one of our entrepreneurs has decided to take that step and has either founded a company or thinking about founding a company. You both represent larger companies that are consumers of innovation. What is the best way for these entrepreneurs and startup companies to approach your companies for advice, potential sales? What is the best route into your companies?
So for Barilla, I mean, first is the networking, finding the right people to put the information in front of. You really need to understand every company might have different needs. I know for Barilla, technology might be something that we're looking at. Packaging is another thing to the point of extending shelf life and whatnot. But once you make that network, having a clear case study and a business plan is really what the leadership teams are looking for. So just having the idea is one step, but having a clear path with defined numbers is really the next step. Even if they're not right, at least it's a talking point to get in front of those key people and key stakeholders.
Yeah, well, one route is I think most big companies have what they would call an idea portal where you can go onto the website and put your idea in and hope that somebody reaches back out to you. Just to be honest, that's probably not an ideal way because it's just going to get lost in the bureaucracy and the size of the company. So the way I would recommend that the entrepreneurs contact the company is find that scientist at that scientific meeting that is working in a similar area, trying to crack that code, so to speak, for the company, and build a relationship with that person, and use that champion internally to help champion your concept or idea into the organization. And that has been, in my opinion, the best way for people with good ideas to make their way into a bigger organization. Because there is no person at Abbott that's called Abbott that makes all the decisions. It's a bunch of individuals. And you just got to find that one person that is as passionate about the area as you are and build that relationship and work with them to get it through the system.
As we get ready to wrap up, I'd like to open up the microphone up front here to anyone in the audience with a quick question for the panelists.